I, you know, grew up in a house that was full of blues and jazz records, so that seemed like the music, that was a normal thing for me. Like, so when I started kind of getting my own tastes and forming my own opinions, I guess I didn't feel like I needed to revolt against that music that came out of my house. Thankfully, I didn't have any real rebellion in that department. And then, if anything, I went back to my dad's record collection when I, realized that I needed more songs to like fill out my set of my first band that I was trying to write songs with. And yeah, it took things like Hoochie Coochie Man, which is on the record. So it's been a long history of like delving into my dad's, musical heritage. Man, at first it was a bit daunting, and it was one of those things when I started. It's not the first record that I've made where I piloted it mostly myself, but making a blues record was definitely a different thing, because I thought so much about the blues is about a bunch of people in a room and not thinking about anything. And I still managed to get, I think, into that mode, even though it was layer upon layer. And I just kept thinking to myself, well, Stevie Wonder made records like this, and ultimately it sounds like a band, whatever that sounds like, but it doesn't sound, I guess, just like one-dimensional in a sense of like one person. So that was my goal. And like anything, you get one track down and then you sort of think, okay, try another one. And I think until about track 3, it was like an experiment. And then I sort of started letting people know I'm making a record. It was actually my son who encouraged me. He said, Dad, you should make a blues record. And it just sort of went ping, like a light bulb in my head. And I just happened to be noodling around with my Stella, my old 67 Stella 12-string, which is like what I call the Lead Belly 12-string. And I was, I've always loved, of course, Lead Belly's version of In the Pines or Where Did You Sleep Last Night. It has about 3 or 4 titles, that song. But of course, we all, remember, when I say we, I definitely do remember the Nirvana version from the Unplugged. And so my version is sort of a melange of that, because I ended up putting cello on it, which I think they had cello on theirs as well. So yeah, it started with that, just because I was noodling with that guitar, and I just thought, wow, this guitar is just got so much, it just has so much atmosphere, just the guitar alone. And then I sort of just fanned out from there, and then I went to Chicago kind of thing after that. Yeah, and started doing like real mining Chicago style blues. Well, I tried to kind of keep a commonality with choosing the songs that was something that would make them all sound good together, but I didn't want to end up with all the same sort of feels. And once I had a couple of things that were like starting with, for instance, the Lead Belly, which is just the big 12-string and a cello and quite sparse, and then doing Alone, Lost and Looking, I thought, okay, those are great because they're very, very different sonically. Now let's get some rhythm going. And then, by about the third or fourth song, I had a little miniature version of the album, and then I sort of expanded out from that and thought another one of those, something a bit like that, but different, same but different. So yeah, I think I started with like a mini version of it. Well, yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of people still that think, out there that are thinking that blues music is woe is me, but I was brought to my attention pretty early when I heard like John Lee Hooker's Boogie Chillin', and that to me is like one of the most kind of upbeat, joyous like songs that I'd ever heard at the time. It was just celebrating the coming of age, heading downtown, seeing a bunch of people in a club, getting in high on the intoxication of those people, all having a good time. It's salubrious. It's a music that's always put into this like, I've got the blues. Yeah, and of course there is like that element, but it can be as upbeat as a Lionel Richie song as well. It really can. And I want this record to kind of just maybe I guess I'm just like a messenger that is always wanting people to like turn on to the blues, even if they think, yeah, I'm not sure that's for me. Like, hang on, just have a listen, and you'll see so many things that you've like probably that you've grown to like in other genres of music, and it's actually from the blues. Well, I mean, for some songs, I really wanted to lean into the instrument. Like for instance, the double bass, which was the, except for one song, I think there's only one song that doesn't have bass, and that's the Leadbelly song. But the rest of them were all very much Willie Dixon. I say is like he's the zeitgeist and the guru or whatever on all of that. But yeah, the foundation of what the bass is doing, and in some cases I just wanted to strip it away and let the bass be the whole instrument of the whole song besides my vocal, and I did that on a couple of songs. So yeah, just a different shift to kind of get away from the guitar always driving it. So yeah, that was kind of something that I felt on this record I could do. Well, I guess, using different instruments as a muse on this record, I just wanted to lean more heavy into things that I wouldn't lean into. I guess the guitar, safe to say that's an instrument that I've leaned into for a long time, and people know me for that. But yeah, I guess a shift of emphasis is what I wanted, especially with the songs that are just vocal and double bass, because that's something people aren't used to seeing or hearing from me. So yeah, that was a blues record was a great vehicle for me, because it's just pure kind of feel, and these are my roots, but just on different, getting on a different horse, different hobby horse. I really loved laying down the cello on Where Did You Sleep Last Night, because it sort of just really humored me, because this is an instrument I grew up playing classically, and suddenly I'm like, yes, I'm getting to use it on a Leadbelly song. Oh, like it just felt like all my chickens had come home, like the whole thing had gone full circle, and all of my music training or whatever was all like put to like, it all came to fruition and looped back on itself. Yeah, kind of cool. Well, yeah, it was kind of unplanned, the being a tribute, this album. But I guess Chris passed like over a year ago, and sadly Michael Gudinski passed earlier this year. So it kind of dawned on me that those were two pivotal and just such monumental people to me in the blues music part of my life, which is a big part of my life and a big part of my DNA, it's been said. So yeah, I'm really, I'm happy that I can at least kind of, dedicate it to them. But unfortunately, yeah, my dreams of making another record with Chris, obviously aren't going to happen. But yeah, his music and his legacy will no doubt live on, because yeah, I don't think I'll ever experience anything like that in my lifetime anyway ever again. So.